Oh, man. The Jay Sheldon Show is going to continue. No matter what they say, no matter what they try to do to us, we're still going to go ahead. Unbelievable. All right. We will figure this out and we will get back to it. For now, let's just do what we do. Shoot on sight. A Latin street gang in Chicago, reportedly telling their members to shoot on sight federal immigration officers, which just increases the already dangerous, very volatile situation going on in Chicago. This is insane. When you're on the side of gang criminals, you are probably in the wrong. Then again, leftists never met a murderous criminal they didn't like. Latin Kings gang putting out hits on all Border Patrol agents operating in Operation Midway Blitz, which so far has rounded up hundreds of illegal alien criminals, probably cutting into the gang's membership. Since Democrat politicians, mainstream media, leftist domestic terrorists, also interested in protecting the criminals and attacking ICE Border Patrol agents, apparently it seems like it's high time to send the National Guard into Chicago, Mr. Trump? It's way past time. News Nation Network correspondent Allie Bradley reported yesterday she obtained an alert to border agents in Chicago. Officer safety alert. I'm reading it verbatim. October 8th, 2025, Customs and Border Protection received credible information indicating that Latin Kings leadership has authorized a shoot-on-sight directive targeting immigration officers and agents conducting immigration enforcement activities in support of Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago and the surrounding areas. Officers, agents reminded to maintain heightened situational awareness and exercise extreme caution when conducting enforcement activities. That is the notice that went out to Border Patrol officers and agents. Now that could shed a little light on a report incident earlier this week. Unknown man fired repeatedly at Border Patrol and then fled the scene. Chicago police wound up having to come to the help of Border Patrol to put down a riot against law enforcement because of the shooting. Well, likely because of the shooting. It coincided with the shooting. Could this have been a Latin Kings member? Could very abso-freaking-lutely well have been. Here's just one of the criminals arrested during Operation Midway Blitz, charged with felony strangulation, domestic battery, disorderly conduct, causing bodily injury, and aggravated battery against a handicapped or pregnant woman. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. And tack on unlawful use of a firearm there, too. You want to see this? Lovely piece of humanity. There he is. Alan Eduardo Garcia, 31 years old, an illegal alien from Mexico. Those are the charges this moron scumbag has been charged with. I'm sorry, and you're not allowing the National Guard to go in and clean up this crap? Like I said, Border Patrol arrests apparently cutting into the Latin Kings membership rolls. This happened last month. So it's not, in fact, the first time the Latin Kings have put prices on the heads of Border Patrol officers. Difference seems to be that now the gang is out to kill any and every immigration officer it sees. Rather than focus on any specific targets, it's open season. Shoot on sight. That from the leadership of the Latin Kings. So far, 900 arrests under Operation Midway Blitz. Please pray for these law enforcement officers. They need every prayer they can get. This is absolutely insane. This is nuts. Where are we? All right. The Democrats finally caved. Yeah, right. It was the plan all along. I told you last week, or even before that perhaps. Wait till after the elections. Then they will come to the table, do whatever it takes to get the government reopened, which now is finally going to happen. Democrats caved, lost everything in the shutdown showdown. Weeks of posturing, sound bites, hashtags. Does anyone use hashtags anymore? Seriously. Don't. They're so yesterday. Senate Democrats folded like a cheap lawn chair. Government will reopen after a handful of Democrats finally agree to vote with Republicans to end the shutdown. Without giving Chuck Schumer and his caucus anything even close to a win. This is what capitulation looks like, and the left knows it. The deal's simple. Schumer caucus agreed to advance a package of spending bills that'll reopen the government and extend funding through January. That's it. That's the whole thing. No sweeping policy concessions, no big wins tucked in the fine print, no historic framework or moral victory. Just a basic continuing resolution dressed up with some boilerplate back pay for furloughed workers, funding for food assistance. So thank God we can get these absolute asses off of their social media accounts. I'm going to go in and steal my food. You can't cut my benefits. I'll steal your food. Yeah, good luck with that. The shutdown began because Schumer thought he could strong-arm the GOP into extending Obamacare subsidies, which were going to expire, repealing Medicare reforms that closed a loophole which handed out free health care to illegal immigrants. You just saw one of those lovely people who qualified for Medicaid. Wouldn't that be nice, huh? Trump and the Republican leaders already said they plan to address those subsidies separately, trying to rein them in, curb the abuse of the system, which is rampant. That became blatantly obvious when you saw all these video posted, people buying their Pepsi and Cheetos with their brightly colored, expensive nails and braids. But because Schumer wanted drama, he shut down the government over it, thinking Republicans would blink. Well, we didn't blink. So take that. 40 days of a shutdown, a laundry list of demands. And what do the Democrats have to show for it? Squat all nothing. Their only win, if you could call it that, is this vague promise of a future vote on Obamacare subsidies in December, which is an absolute meaningless gesture. Even they know it's dead on arrival. And so if you want to know exactly how bad things are for Democrats, it's easy. Scroll through social media. It's all over the place. The left, full meltdown. Harry Sisson called the outcome absolutely pathetic, accused his party of surrendering to a wannabe dictator, Gavin Newsom. He chimed in with a simple pathetic. Representative Khanna threw Schumer under the bus, saying he should be replaced. Besides all the drama, all the doomsday saying, the reality is simple and plain. They overplayed their hand, and they lost. Too bad, too sad. You look like idiots. And we're very happy about that. Oh, man. All right. What else we got going on here? We got a lot of stuff going on here today. A lot. Okay. Follow-up. We did this story last week about this woman who went viral, videos all over the net, because some guy decided he wanted to use the women's changing room while she was in there changing. Well, turns out this wannabe woman, who is a man, has a record. It's not just a criminal record, it is a record of abuse. Tish Hyman was that woman who went on a rant tirade at Gold's Gym after she was subjected to a, beans and sausage display in the women's locker room, just as she stepped out of the shower, soaking wet, completely naked, because that's how you shower. Of course, the person in question, who calls himself Alexa Black, claims to be transitioning. Therefore, according to California law, Black can use whatever bathroom he wants to. After Hyman's rant went absolutely viral on social media, she, of course, got barred from Gold's Gym. No surprise there, Gold's. What happened to believe all women, Well, thanks to her bravery and her willingness to stand up or to even take a stand, she's made the legacy and new media rounds to scream about the utter wrongness of it all, and she's right, calling for people to join her in her fight, take action against the ridiculous laws that encourage this kind of voyeuristic bullshit. Women wind up feeling unsafe, and in some cases, absolutely justified in feeling unsafe, and puts them in harm's way. Friday, she appeared on Fox News. America Reports spoke truth to power, absolutely. Men do not belong in women's spaces. It's just that simple. And the lies that cause this abuse and confusion has got to stop. Media attention, focus a little scrutiny on the subject. Before Alexis Black transitioned, or began his transition, Kyle Grant Freeman, which is his real name, assaulted his then wife, ironically also named Alexis, and fractured her jaw. The real Alexis, his wife, required surgery to repair the damage. You can't make this shit up, folks. Convicted of assaulting her, his now ex-wife, while living in Ohio as a man, which he still is, before taking the victim's first name as his own. Formerly Grant Freeman, Alexa Black, pled guilty in 2022 to savagely beating his wife, Alexis Freeman, causing a compound fractured jaw among many other serious injuries. That's this guy who was in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym. You know what he got for that, by the way? After all that damage to his now ex-wife? A year in prison, minus time served. A year. That's it. It's no wonder you got to question domestic abuse laws in Ohio. They're a joke. Exactly how twisted do you have to be to think it's a great idea to take your abused ex-wife's name as your transition name? It gets worse. He's also been convicted both domestic violence and drug trafficking. He's got a slew of other charges, including resisting arrest, according to records. It is curious that taking cross-sex hormones and playing dress-up has nothing to remove what is. It's done nothing. On top of mental illness, a very clear hatred of women, Gold's Gym to this day still allows Alexis Black to prance around the women's locker room, traumatizing more women, no doubt. They just don't have the bollocks to complain out loud about it. They should grow a pair. I know how absurd that is, but, you know. Hyman, by the way, off doing her workouts at another gym. She's got an uphill battle as she tries to get the laws changed. California absolutely steadfast refuses to change its laws, even putting female prisoners at risk by housing them with abusive biological males who claim they're transitioning. Despite reports of abuse, assaults by these male prisoners. God help us all. That's what it's come to. That's what it's come to. Unfreaking believable. Where else are we going? Oh, man. This is not one I like to share, but I got to. You got to know about this stuff. It's an absolute horror story. You know what IVF is? In vitro fertilization. This 68-year-old is apparently an IVF addict. And her horror story, and it is everything that is wrong with big fertility. You know, like big pharma, big fertility. Listen to this. 2 toddlers were effectively orphaned after the 68-year-old woman who commissioned them paid someone to rent out their womb using others' DNA and another woman's womb. This 68-year-old woman is now facing felony charges. You need proof that the wild, wild west of assisted reproductive technology needs to be tamed? Well, You don't have to look any further than New York Times profile of a 68-year-old woman whose use of in vitro fertilization, purchasing, and the rent-a-womb industry, which is big, landed her an unprecedented legal fight with a long list of pending felony charges. 30 charges against this moron, Mary Beth Lewis. Now, contrary to what you may think, they have little to do with her rather liberal use of reproductive technology and her relationship with the fertility industry. Money talks, folks. Lewis is out hundreds of thousands of dollars and could face prison time, which takes her away from her husband and her brimming brood of, you ready? Sit down. She has 13 children. Oh, yet she's not the victim. And now, 2-year-old twins, emboldened to commission this creation, she commissioned these twins, rented a womb out. And thanks to the lack of any kind of reproductive technology regulations, they virtually do not exist. Undoubtedly going to suffer the greatest consequences of her actions for these helpless, innocent twins. Children in question had no genetic relationship to Lewis, her husband, or the woman whose womb she rented for the duration of the pregnancy. In fact, the only full-blooded relatives of the test tube babies are the 11th, 12th, and 13th Lewis children, who hailed from the same batch of embryos the couple commissioned using purchased eggs and sperm back in 2016. This is absurd. Lewis was 62 when she gave birth to the 13th child, one of the lucky embryos that made it to implantation in 2019. That sounds like a science fiction story. Are you kidding me with this? Some years increased delusion about her capacity to juggle more than a dozen kids and be an involved grandma for her adult kids. And some deception later, Lewis found herself eagerly awaiting the birth of yet another set of twins. That'd be 15 for those counting at home. She found herself awaiting the birth, except this time her husband had no clue about the babies. She didn't tell him. She'd spent several $100,000 and rented another womb somewhere. Apparently forged her husband's signature to give legal permission to create these new set of twins. Nor did he have any idea she was paying a surrogate to gestate and give birth to them. He didn't know. Kept totally in the dark. Lewis said she had no choice. She had to deceive her better half because he'd wanted the extra embryos destroyed. And that goes against my religious beliefs. Oh, please. Do you have any please, stop it. Just stop it. She claims to be a practicing Catholic. Maintains she saved the embryos from being destroyed. It was her decision to create the babies through IVF, in vitro fertilization, procedure the Catholic Church has deemed immoral. However, that led to a dilemma about implanting, donating, destroying the little lives in the first place. It took most of the surrogate's pregnancy, but eventually Lewis's legal counsel, a local judge, supposed to grant parental orders to the Lewises, which would need to take the twins home after they were born. And suddenly the babies, who were already never going to know their genetic parents, not going to spend any more than 9 months with the woman who gestated them, wouldn't even know the woman who paid to make them. They are now officially wards of the state. They virtually have no mother at all. That's where we are. What a world, what a world. Manischewitz. Where are we? There we are. All right. We got to tell you about the good folks at Blackout Coffee. I'm back. Blackout Coffee. Oh, man, it's just simply the best stuff on the planet. Take a look. Look at that. A salute to all those who served Veterans Day special going on right now at Blackout Coffee. 20% off all their signature roasts, which I'm telling you, if you're a first-time customer, you use the code J20, and you get 20% off your first order. But this applies to everybody. Repeat customers, whoever you might be, even if you've already one of the many, many people who've ordered through us at Blackout Coffee, use that link down in our show notes and take advantage of this. 20% off all, look at this, Morning Reaper, Brutal Awakening, Morning Reaper in a pod, the coffee pods, medium roast coffee. And on many of their most popular brands like this, beans or ground. Yes, they now will grind your beans for you. Take a look, 1776. My favorite pitch black espresso right there. Medium roast coffee pods. Smooth finish coffee. Every one of these, by the way, is absolutely the best. Full-bodied, full rich flavor, and never, ever, ever, ever bitter. This is just the best stuff on earth. Please, folks, use that link down there in our show notes. And if you're a first-time customer, you can either take advantage of the Veterans Day sale on everything, or no matter what, when you go to checkout, you use the code JAY20, J20, and that for first-time customers gets you 20% off your first order. Check it out. Man, good deal. Thank you, John and the gang at Blackout Coffee. We appreciate your helping to support the show here. Please do use that link in our show notes and make a purchase over there at Blackout Coffee. All right. Where else are we headed? Oh. Mike. Big Mike. Otherwise known as Michelle Obama. Hey, Marilyn. Welcome. Busy with the plumber. I don't want to know. I hope you got your pipes cleaned out. I hope everything is fine. Plumbers can be a pain in the butt. Michelle Obama is trying so hard to play the victim that instead of playing the victim, she winds up with really a bit of comedy gold, as Big Mike is wont to do. It is no coincidence that Multi-millionaire Michelle Obama is on a self-pity jag. She's promoting her latest overpriced coffee table book as her husband's Democratic Party has succumbed to the socialist fringe. You see it everywhere. Democrat Marie Antoinette's moaning about their plight and the ingratitude of the serfs as the revolution devours their dominion. For the former First Lady, a week of softball interviews for her new $50 book. $50 for this piece of absolute rat trap crap. It's called The Look. Been dominated by bizarre complaints about her time in the White House with Barack. She's rewriting history to claim, rather bitterly, that as the first black couple, the black first couple, well, you get the idea. She says, quote, "We didn't get the grace that I think some families have gotten." Who does she think she's kidding? Martians? Hello? Are you in there, Mike? Melania Trump would like a word. There was no grace in the daily savaging that President Trump's wife has had to put up with in her first term in the White House, especially in her first term. Invasive questions about her marriage designed to damage it, dirty gossip packaged as news, xenophobic attacks about her accent, Slovenian origins. Even her Christmas decorations were slammed as ugly and cold. Despite her being an international model, always dressed impeccably, the word class isn't even enough to define Melania. And without complaint, she was never asked to grace the cover of Vogue. Far frumpier first ladies dressed like sofas, lavishly showcased in the fashion mag 2 or 3 times each. It's no wonder she's retreated into herself during her husband's second term. Can you blame her? Now, by contrast, it's pretty hard to remember another presidential couple so swooned over as the Obamas. Even by the standards of Democrat privilege, they were treated like Camelot Redux. But Michelle, Big Mike Obama, with all her millions, still takes pains to portray herself as a victim. She inadvertently provides us with comedy gold, begging more questions than she explained. She kicked off her book tour last week with an interview with Robin Roberts for ABC News, a special called Michelle Obama, the Style, the Power, the Look. You might think it would be hard to complain about getting dressed up with helpers like, let's see here, stylist Meredith Coop, makeup artist Carl Ray, hairstylist Yane Damtu, and Negiri Radway, top designers Diane von Furstein, Jason Wu, Tracy Reese, and Narcisco Rodriguez. Kind of hard to complain when, to prepare you for a television appearance, that's your team. But Michelle always seems to find a way. She moans about having to have a glam team, a trifecta. The White House had to apply her makeup and dress her to designer threads that fit. She says it feels like a luxury, but it was a necessity. Now, despite the personal hairdressers She whines about having to smooth and color her hair to conform to a standard. Quoting Big Mike, as women of color, the way our hair naturally grows out of our heads, it's beautiful. But if we struggle to make it look like the standard, that means we're spending thousands of hours and lots of money straightening out what is naturally curly hair, and that takes hours out of your life. I'm sorry, on that list, how many hairdressers were there listed? 2, 3? You know what, Michelle Big Mike Obama, we really just don't give a crap, okay? Complain all you want. We will laugh at you, as we always do, and that's fine. No problemo. What else is going on? You see Minneapolis's new Democrat mayor, Jacob Frey? No? Oh, yeah. He's been reelected as the Democrat mayor of Minneapolis. He won re-election, and this was his victory speech. Hold on, I'm trying to get it full screen. Okay, listen very closely. This is the newly re-elected mayor of Minneapolis, and this is his victory speech. Watch.
Assalamu alaikum. Hamid wa Aksan. Maaga yega wa Yaroub Farid. Boca Magala Minneapolis. Ko Laba Sata. Afarshan. Maaga yega wa.
I'm sorry, what? You can't understand that? Really? That's because he's speaking in Somali. I won't even try and translate it. There is a translation here. You can find it online if you really want to know. I'm sure you don't. 2 prominent Democrats in Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz and Senator Amy Klobuchar, both just a joke in and of themselves, endorsed his campaign this year. Outlets said conservative pundit Gary Callahan criticized his speech as humiliating. You think? His acceptance speech was in Somali. This is an American politician, raised in America, educated in America, ostensibly representing Americans, there's a thought, prostrating himself in front of a bunch of foreigners. Probably the most humiliating thing I think I've ever seen. Absolutely frightening. You want to know what else is frightening? Tinder. I know. I don't have Tinder on my phone. I don't use Tinder. I don't know squat about Tinder. Well, I mean, I know the basics, something about swipe right, swipe left. It's like a dating matching service thing. Well, you might want to keep a little eye if you use Tinder, because now Tinder wants your camera rolls and calls it chemistry. This app, built on swipes, so I'm right. It's like if you're interested, you swipe right, and if you're not, you swipe left, which is kind of a bummer for us left-handed people, but never mind. They want a window into the roll on your phone of your camera pictures. And they're calling it a step towards deeper connections. It has become apparently the latest major platform to look a little deeper into their users' profiles and personal data using, guess what? Artificial intelligence as their justification. After 9 consecutive quarters of failing subscriber numbers, the dating app's parent company, which is Match Group, testing a new system called Chemistry. This tool is supposed to learn about you, the users, through questions and, if you let them, scanning images that are stored in your phone's camera roll to interpret interests and personality traits. Please, dear God, be careful before you give this piece of spyware any access to anything. Match says this data-driven approach will improve the compatibility between users. And believe it or not, there are morons out there who will go, okay, here, you can look at all my pictures. This is currently taking place only in New Zealand and Australia. Describes it as a major pillar of Tinder's upcoming 2026 product experience. So New Zealand, Australia, sorry about that. The reason I'm telling you about it is because cash it, take the check to the bank. It will be coming here before you know it. And chances are you might not even know it. Match claims the system going to use AI to create better matches by interpreting visual cues, user responses. They've already acknowledged the experiment comes at a big financial cost. Tinder's use of AI extends further. They're now employing a language model to prompt users with, "Are you sure?" before they send potentially offensive messages. A lot of people are becoming very careful about how they use and acknowledge and allow access to their personal data. I truly hope you will be one of them. If you have friends who are on Tinder, let them know it's not in this country yet. It's only being tested in New Zealand and Australia. But mark my words, it won't be long. Man. All right. I got one more for you, and it's the coolest thing ever. I found this post by Max Payne, which is at Maximum Pain 333. I know, that's a little weird. But it's absolutely amazing. It is not AI. I ran it through the algorithms. It is not AI. But this is absolutely amazing. This guy, who has what I think is some kind of a native flute. If you watch in the beginning, the forest behind him, or jungle, whatever it is, the wind is blowing and the trees are moving, leaves are rustling. But apparently, and I think in my heart of hearts, I truly believe this, nature has a conscience. It is aware of everything. Watch what happens to these trees as this gentleman plays the sound of this flute. They become completely motionless. This is absolutely incredible. Watch what happens.
Conexión con lo que hay aquí, con el instrumento, ¿verdad? Porque recordemos que la flauta es un instrumento ancestral. Digo, como dice la cita. Vamos a ver qué pasa.
How amazing is that? First of all, the flute playing is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But did you see? In the beginning, the trees and the wind were all, blowing, rocking back and forth. And the moment he started to play, everything stood still. And as if it were listening. Nature's amazing. So are you amazing for popping by. Thank you for doing that. It's a Monday. We'll be back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the Jay Sheldon Show. Hopefully our beginning will go a little better than today's did. Sorry about that. And yes, I meant every word of what I said because it burned my butt. But there you go. I will see you again. Thank you. Be sure and follow the show. Join us on our Locals channel over there. You get some behind-the-scenes content. And we'll be back again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, for the Jay Sheldon Show.